Blood, blood, gallons of the stuff. I gave you all that you could drink, and it has never been enough. Okay, 30 seconds. Fantastic. Hi, everyone. It's me, Grant's Movie and TV Guy. Welcome to Raise Some Popcorn with Grant, everybody. And today we're talking about a movie. Movies and TVs that we do here, and that movie is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. The Last Voyage of the Demeter is directed by, I want to make sure I get this guy's name right. I apologize. Let me just make sure, because this guy, I believe, is a Swedish director. Andre Overdahl. I hope I am saying that name correctly. He's Norwegian. We like Norwegian filmmakers. The Norwegian film was my favorite movie of last year. He previously directed Troll Hunter, which was fantastic. The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which was also very good. And Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is also very good. And Mortal, which I have not seen. So I've seen 3 of his 4 previous films. And this project has been around a while. So what is The Last Voyage of the Demeter about? Well, it is based on a section, a very small section, but a very memorably creepy section of Dracula by Bram Stoker, called The Captain's Log. And it is written from the point of view of a ship captain, whose log is discovered when his ship comes into port empty. And then we flash back to see how the ship ended up empty and how the crew fell to some kind of livestock and then people-eating creature. And we see the various people on board, among them a captain with an amazing voice played by Liam Cunningham, a ship doctor who has lost a lot of big opportunities because of the racism of the 1890s, played by Corey Hawkins. That's fantastic, Luke. Yes, and that's played by Corey Hawkins. We also have Woody Norman, fresh off his work in the terrific horror film Cobweb, as well as a couple years back his breakout turn in one of my favorite films of that year, Come On, Come On, as the grandson of the captain. And then we also have, among filling out the rest of the crew, we also have David Dastmalchian, Aisling Francois, I think, how do you pronounce it? Aisling Franciosi. Okay. From the Nightingale. From the Nightingale. She's a real standout here. As this woman who sort of is on board and maybe has a tie to whatever's going to happen. So when the livestock, including a sweet dog named Huck, are killed, let's just say there are more dead bodies that will pile up because what's eating the crew of the Demeter? Well, it turns out a flesh-eating monster that the female lead here knows very well, named Count Dracula. And very, very soon, it's a battle for survival on the ship known as the Demeter in 1897. Let the mayhem begin. So, The Last Voyage of the Demeter has sort of a fundamental... Let me put it this way. The ultimate spoiler for this movie is the title. If you've read the book, Dracula, and you've read that section, which I have, if you know the title of what this and what it means, let's just say little to no, but don't get too attached. I'll just say, leave it at that. Don't get too attached to anyone, not even the kid and the dog in this instance. It's very much a sort of almost pseudo... it was originally envisioned, I think, at one time, this particular version, as a sort of spin-off to Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Paramount movie from the early 90s. Because this has been in development for a really long time. This has been in development at least since the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, it's been around a while, and this script has been kind of kicking around. At one time, it was going to be Robert Schwenke, who I believe was an uncredited rewriter on this film as well, who's going to make it. Spielberg was one of the producers. Maybe I think at one time he was attached. There was a lot of interesting people going in and out of this. And after all the hullabaloo and after all the delays and almost 30 years on the shelf, how was The Last Voyage of Demeter? It was good. I liked it. It wasn't. It could have been. It could have been worse. It could have been a little better. It was just fine. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. It had a nice gothic, creepy mood. Very true to the original source material in a lot of ways, but also updating it and expanding it into a nearly 2-hour movie. It had good characters on it, good acting, especially by Corey Hawkins and Miss Franciosi, and they kind of were the standouts to me. I also really quite like Liam Cunningham as the captain, who has a voice that is built for trailer narration. It's kind of amazing. That guy it's like British Don LaFontaine. It's kind of amazing. Like, when they had the narration in the trailer, I assumed it was just narration in the trailer. It's actually the captain's speaking voice. He's really good. I'm sure I've seen this actor before. He looks very familiar, but I don't know if he was doing something different, but he just sounds deep. You know, like that inner world. Like, he sounds like that kind of voice. And I really enjoyed these characters. I thought that I liked the setting. One thing that I feel like is undeniably spectacular is the practical effects work, which is amazing. The production design, especially the ship. When you see the Demeter, you kind of almost want a model version of it. It's very well constructed. It's very well furnished and put together. It's an achievement in production design. Another standout I would have to say is the actor Javier Botet as Dracula. He was great. It was a very physical performance. There was almost no lines, of course, but he did a really good job. He was very creepy and under a lot of makeup. Did a really good job. Made Dracula kind of animalistic and creepy. The director described the approach of this film as Alien, but on a ship on a boat in the 1890s, and the alien is Dracula, and that's kind of what this is. The Alien one. It kind of has that feeling. It's very slow burn, a lot of skulking down hallways, but it works. It's a creepy, effective movie. Now, if there's one thing I will say about this movie, it's not. I can't really go all the way or even pretty far with it because there's just these certain things that kind of bug me. First off, the movie is all of 2 hours. It's like hour 59. It does not need to be. It's a little too long. It's a good 15 minutes too long. I also think that there are some really gaping logical errors at parts that kind of took me out of it. For instance, there is a running thing about people who are bitten by Dracula, understandably, when they hit sunlight, burst into flame, spontaneously combust. But okay, if that's the case, though, they have this whole thing about how when Aileen Francois' character is on the ship, she's losing a lot of blood because of her tie to Dracula. And she's quelled by blood transfusions given by Corey Hawkins. Okay, fair enough. And that seems to slow the process of the sort of vampiric aspects, the change to kind of happen that would cause her to burst into flame. Fair enough. But how? They never really tell you how, and then they seem to forget that that's a thing willy-nilly with other victims. It kind of comes and goes out of the movie in a way that suggests that maybe there was an even longer cut of this movie that got cut down. There's some scenes that are missing. There is the introduction of the fact that Francoise's character is sort of has this almost maternalistic bond of sorts with the Woody Norman character that kind of comes out of nowhere and is never really, outside of one scene where while she's comatose, he kind of watches over her. They never really give any context to that relationship, and then until the end of that particular character's story arc, where it's kind of like, that's kind of strange, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. Other than that, however, I did enjoy this film, but I think that there are just little things like that, and I feel like we can end it there. It's a good film. I recommend it, with reservations. I don't think it's nearly as bad as some of the critics have said. I think the critics are, especially considering I just got done listening to Kermode and Sanjeev Bangar's review of the Meg 2, and he liked it, and that made me kind of frustrated because I love Mark Kermode, and I don't want to say that he's wrong, but in this case, I think he kind of is. It definitely, yeah, it's like a 40% around the base. It's better than that. I think that that's a little unfair. I think that it's perfectly good. It is sort of weird it's coming out in the summertime, though, because it just screams October. It's a very slow burn movie. I don't know how mainstream audiences are going to necessarily like it, because it's very slow moving and kind of... It's more like a Hammer horror movie than it is like a modern jump scary horror movie. But that's kind of things it reminded me a lot of, it's not quite as good as this, but it reminded me of a really great film from early last year called The Cursed, which we reviewed on this channel, which was like the werewolf version of this. And it's kind of weirdly, and a little bit of the Vitch. But yeah, I like the film. I'm not going to go all the way, but I'm not even going to go pretty far, but I'm going to walk the 2 blocks. I'm going to give The Last Voyage of the Demeter 4 out of 5 stars. Not a perfect movie, but I really did enjoy it, and I think that it's a high 4 out of 5. Like, it's close to a 4.5. It's good. I liked it, but it kind of gets a star dock just for those kind of glaring problems. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars for The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Let's close the book on it. Trailer trash. Let's talk wrong place. What are you doing, Grant? Check your notes, not your email. It's not the time. We don't have time for that today. Do we have time for bonus meme? We have to know. Do we have to... Bonus meme! Sorry. I was reminded of that part because of YMS. It's all your fault, Adam. It Lives Inside. Talked about it. Looks good. The Equalizer 3 Red Band trailer. Talked about it. Looks good. A Haunting in Venice. Talked about it. Looks good. The Nun 2, talked about it, looks good, or as I like to call it, The Nunturing 2, talked about it, looks good. Killers of the Flower Moon, one of my most anticipated movies of the remainder of the year. Probably the best trailer I've seen all year, Killers of the Flower Moon, looks really good. Strays, talked about it, looks good. We're seeing it next Friday. The Exorcist Believer, talked about it, looks good. Five Nights at Freddy's, talked about it, looks good. Was there shawarma? No, there was not. All right. That is it. We'll be back tomorrow for a review of the action film Heart of Stone, starring Gal Gadot. Saturday, we'll have back-to-back reviews of the romantic comedy. It's a romantic comedy double bill, actually. It's Love and Tai Pai and Red, White, and Royal Blue. We'll have reviews of that. And then Sunday, we'll have a retro review. It's getting a 1-day-only re-release. Or 2 days only re-release. We'll have a retro review of the 50th anniversary of the Bruce Lee classic, Enter the Dragon. So that's all coming up, and that'll all be next time. And until next time, I'm Grant the Movie and TV Guy. I see it all. I'm happy to share it with you. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I love all class dismissed. I live with you 1,000. Be kind to one another. If you like this video, give it a like if you want to. Give it a subscribe if you want to. Give it the bell. I don't know what it does. That's what you're supposed to do, or so I've been told. Leave a comment even if it's, hey, Grant, I like waffles. It really helps out. If you want to put me else reviews this and other fun stuff, you can check me out on letterboxd.com at @RaisinPopcorn with Grant, Twitter at RaisinGrant. You can find me on Facebook, Raisin Popcorn with Grant, serialized, all one word, all lowercase, Raisin on Popcorn, Instagram and Threads at Raisin Popcorn with Grant. Check out my podcast, Raisin Popcorn with Grant, the podcast on Spotify and Anchor. Some of you already have me. If you haven't, take care of yourself, take care of your mental health. It's incredibly important, and I want to know down below. What did you think of The Last Voyage of the Demeter? Did you like the movie? Did you hate the movie? Do you think my opinion's good? Think I'm full of shit? Comment below. Let me know. And until we meet again, we were all raised on popcorn. Big Mouth extra butter. Catch you guys next time. Take care, everyone.